Ladies and gentlemen, Kirk Thatcher and Daren the Weirded Beardos. Well, hello again.
Prince of Peanuts? What?
You wrote it.
I did?
Yeah.
I wrote Kirk Daddy That. I didn't write Prince of Peanuts. Did I? I guess that was last week.
You must have, because I sure didn't. Because you're not the Prince of Peanuts. You're the Prince of Cashews.
I'm the Prince of Gesundheit. Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Thanks for sticking with us. We don't
We're back
beg.
again, and we lied last week. We said we weren't going to be here, but here we are. We are going to be here.
We're here. We're here now.
We am here.
We am.
I have been there. So
lots to talk about. Lots to talk about.
It's been an eventful week.
Yeah.
On many facets. Last weekend I was in the great Ticonderoga, New York, upstate New York.
I'm going to change it to Tricorderoga.
Tricorderoga? That's funny.
They should do that.
That's very funny. I like that.
Because you were at?
Because I was at the Star Trek original series set tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so was William Shatner and Robin Curtis.
Yay, we love Robin.
And it was, that alone was great. And Shatner gave me a big hug, and he called me sweetheart.
Oh, so he's gone. He's got dementia.
He's gone completely. Yeah, gone. Yeah, no.
And grabbed your ass and said, "Meet me later." Wear that little suit.
No, I wish. No, that was not on the cards.
Oh, that's great. You're in the inner circle now.
I guess so. At least, yeah. I don't know. At least he made me feel like I was. So yeah, that's all that's important.
He's getting soft in his old age. No, I know you guys.
I didn't feel it.
I of course befriend the guy who dies young. Every time, Jim Henson, Leonard Nimoy. Oh shit.
Yeah.
No, Phil Tippett's still alive, so that at least.
Well, knock on wood.
66% success rate.
I don't know if you knew him, but a friend of mine, Glenn Campbell, visual effects artist.
I did not know him well. We met a couple times. He was going to do effects on a show I did with Henson, or we're pitching, and we're going to bring them in. And he was a lovely guy.
He was great. He was one of the best, and we lost him this week.
Yeah. I only interfaced with him maybe a couple times, but always was impressed with just what a smart, nice, gentle guy he was.
Yeah.
Who, again, belied his credits. He was one of those guys like, oh yeah, he seems like a lightweight guy. And then
but he worked on everything.
Yeah, exactly. Which I tend to find most of the people I admire who are amazing don't walk around telling you how amazing they are, or even acting like they're amazing. They're just like, oh yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, which is why I try to stop you from saying how amazing you are.
I need all the help I can get. Mainly to the young ladies.
It's like a Johnny LaRue.
Yes, I was guessing with the John Candy, like. Yeah, John Candy. He passed away too. It's going around.
This is the show about dead people. They're really not dead as long as we remember them.
Speaking of dead people, I want to talk about the Otoy Roddenberry stuff you've been involved with.
Yes.
Because Unification 754, I don't know what the numbers mean.
Yeah.
But that just came out. And the whole, was that shown at Ticonderoga or just after you got back?
It was premiered at Ticonderoga. The day before it was released on Monday, we showed it on the bridge with Bill Shatner and Robin Curtis.
On the bridge screen?
On the bridge screen.
Oh, awesome.
It was amazing.
Wow.
I was, we had tested it earlier to make sure that it would work and everything.
Right, yeah.
And Jules Urbach, the head of Otoy and the Roddenberry Archive, was there. He came up for it with his wife and year-old son, who just turned a year
I don't
the day before.
Oh, their 1-year-old son.
1-year-old.
I
Yes.
thought you said your old son. I'm like, I don't have an old son.
No, that you know of. Uh, but
If I did, he would be old at this point. Yeah.
but Spock does, and that's related in this video. But anyway,
What? Yes. Okay. That there's a lot to unpack
but
here.
let me just continue.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so we watched it the first time, and everyone was in tears on the bridge.
Yeah.
We
Say J
uh,
Hot Dog Kleenex. Yeah.
uh, uh, so we had it ready, and we showed it for Bill Shatner and Robin, and a whole bunch of people who were gathered for Bill does bridge chats, and those
Right.
were part of a certain ticket level, and there were like 40 people on the bridge watching this, and of course I kept my eyes on Shatner during the whole thing to see
Sure.
what his reaction
Well,
was.
it wasn't a surprise to him, but he had seen a rough cut or anything. No, he
He
just
hadn't seen a rough cut. No,
okay. So
he'd
this was
seen bits and pieces of
right. Right.
examples of how it was going, but he never saw it all together.
Okay.
And he was just he said very quietly, "Wow."
He didn't say, "Oh my."
No, he didn't say, "Oh my." That would have
That
been
was the
bad.
other guess I would have had. But
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
But he it was very interesting. He reacted very positively. He said it was moving to him emotionally.
Of course.
Um, he was, how did you do this? Uh, uh, it's
Well, okay. First of
the
all, let's
subtlety.
tell people where they can see it so they can watch this before they hear us talk all about something
Well,
like.
the most direct way is to go to roddenberry.x.io
Okay.
and enter that in your browser, and it'll take you directly to the Roddenberry archive page, and it is on the front page. It is unlisted on YouTube
Oh,
directly.
okay. Because I know there's a YouTube link, but okay. So if you want to find it, go to the Roddenberry thing. Because
Yes, yes,
I found it through fan sites who were going bananas over it, and
yeah,
then the link. Okay.
yeah,
Um. So I would say watch it before you even listen to us, because I guess
yeah.
the spoilers alert.
Pause
Uh,
us if you haven't seen it.
yeah. It's only 8 minutes long,
Yeah.
and then come back, and now we can talk about it, at least, and not ruin it for
And
anybody.
then after it's over, come back and there's more to tell.
Yes.
That's a
Ah,
that's a deep Star Trek dive for those of you who
yes.
know it.
Or nerds. Okay. So I want to roll back a little bit to the first Roddenberry
Yeah.
archives test, which I thought. So it was Spock and Cole. What was her name?
Colt. Yeoman
Colt.
Colt.
Yeoman Colt, who were dressed and on a virtual set to look like the original pilot, right?
Well,
Or
they were on the original pilot, but also in the motion picture timeline.
Colt was in the motion picture timeline?
There was a series of comic books
Oh,
that
okay.
that all of this is based on, relatively,
Oh, okay.
and they were in the '90s, and they had the continuing adventures of Yeoman
Adventures.
Colt, and she comes across this alien time thing, and she's goes bounding back and forth in time.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. So she's like a Nexus kind of character who.
Kind of, yeah.
Uh, all right. Well, so this came out 2, 3 years ago. The thing we're talking about right
Yeah, 2 years ago.
now. Okay,
2 years
2 years ago, and
ago.
in it was a dead ringer. Pardon the expression for Leonard Nimoy.
Yes,
At the time, they were saying it was a digital makeup, but I
it is.
recently, well, but then I saw the actor whose name I don't know,
Yeah,
but
well, his name is Lawrence Selleck.
yes, Lawrence Selleck, which is another interesting
It's a yes,
tidbit.
it's a
Yeah.
stage name, but that's his name.
Oh, it's a stage name. Okay. Well, I saw images of him getting prosthetics put on,
Yeah,
and that was just to make the CG makeup easier. I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
because it's terrifyingly. I mean, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
well, him alone,
Right.
and Shatner called this out on the bridge. He said, "You bear an astonishing resemblance to Leonard."
No, no, he does,
Yeah,
and like it's not like heavy prosthetics. It's not.
no,
It's not Dustin Hoffman, a little big man. It's like a
no,
little forehead piece, maybe a bit on the nose, like
yeah,
very subtle. And we'll like Whitwer, who we'll get to in the young Kirk makeup, is again
yeah,
shockingly
yeah,
accurate.
yeah.
Um, so my first question is, how did you find this guy Selleck?
I've known he was one of the first three people I ever met in Los Angeles back in
Okay.
1985. He was a film student at USC, and when I got there, I met him. I worked on his student film, and we became great friends. And one of the first things that I saw was he had a photo of, it's that famous photo of Spock sitting at his console. I think it was the one that
Kind of turned it like
that was airbrushed. It's
right,
he's sort of
right,
turned
right,
and holding his earpiece and things.
right.
But he'd cut his own face out and smiling crazily and put it on this photo. He's always been a Star Trek fan,
But
and
has he? Did he back then? Or do people go like, "Wow, if you had a bowl haircut, you'd look like Leonard Nimoy," or no?
not directly,
Okay.
but he always bared a slight resemblance. Um,
Right. Well, I have
as
a
he got
couple.
older, he looked more and more like Nimoy.
Yeah, I have a friend Rick Lyon, another guy who's way too tall. He's like 6'6", and he always cosplays as Spock.
Yeah.
But this thing in his makeup, and then with the digital tweaking,
Yeah.
is it's beyond reproach. You're just like, that's Leonard
Well,
Nimoy from
yeah,
1966.
it looks exactly
And
like
so,
Leonard Nimoy.
yes. So, okay. How did he get is it because you knew him? You said, I know a guy who kind
Yeah,
of
I
looks.
said I know a guy who could do this, and it's not only that his physical uh, structure
Right,
is so
physiognomy. Yeah.
closely, yeah, is so closely related, but he also, has like most of us, can quote all the lines, and he has the mannerisms down, and he
Ah,
knows how to play Spock, and he
yeah.
knows the subtle facial movements, and he
Right. The
knows
slight
all
eyebrow
of it.
raise. Yeah.
And
Because the combination is I said
it's
frightening.
stunning.
It is. It does. You gasp. You're like,
Yeah,
whoa, because
yeah.
it's not Carrie Fisher in or the
Oh
recreation
no,
of
no.
Leia. And I'm not throwing shade. That was
The
the
little
best.
monkey in a dress.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, that's the best they could do at the time. This is Weta level of like
no,
I
this is a quantum leap in this
right.
technology.
And
And
so Roddenberry went to Otoy. Otoy. I mean, I'm trying to get the basis for all this
well,
stuff.
the connection between Roddenberry and Otoy is that the head of Otoy, Jules Urbach, and Rod Roddenberry have been friends since they were teenagers,
Okay.
and they grew up together. And Rod had this idea that there should be uh, a group that is intended to preserve the worlds that Gene
Sure.
instigated.
Yeah.
And so, one part of the Roddenberry archive is to create CG versions of everything we've ever seen in Star Trek.
Right.
And as
So
it happens,
when are they scanning me as the punk?
well, just wait.
My
We'll
finger up.
we'll get to that eventually. See, we have to build the bus first.
I have to die first, and then they'll be like, oh,
It's
we
like
found out.
it's
We
like
found out the kid who, yeah,
the
we found
wall of photos on Poncho's Happy Bottom Riding Club. You gotta die, honey. Um, but the so the Roddenberry Archive was established to create uh,
museum of
a
what,
repository
yeah,
for all the elements that went into Star Trek and other things. But we're concentrating on Star Trek right now.
sure.
And as such, uh, because Otoy is primarily a technology company,
Hardware,
they
software, or both.
uh, software. They are partnered with hardware
Okay.
people.
And
Um,
what is their
their
software?
primary software is the Octane renderer.
Oh, okay.
That is, they are a
That tracks.
multi-million dollar company
Yeah.
that are essential in pipelines across the world for
Yeah.
visual effects and
There's like
gaming.
three renderers now that
Yeah,
everyone uses, and Octane is one of the big ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. So
Okay.
that's Otoy. And through this, they are leveraging their capabilities as a software company and are developing these tools. And among them is this, digital replacement of faces. And it's not deep fake. It's not any
No,
of the other technology that we've ever seen. Because the funny thing is, I was able to go to the Huntington Gardens and watch them shooting. Some of
I
those.
knew exactly where that was. I'm like, I know that's Huntington
Yeah,
Park. I thought you might have been one of the guests
no,
in the. I don't know. I
no,
looked for you. I knew
I
you were.
didn't dress up that day. Um,
You went nude.
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
bold. That's a
totally.
that's a that's a
Well,
bold foot.
I figured you might as well.
That's a
Um,
flex.
yeah, when you're looking at the camera feed from the camera, they have it patched in to the software, and you can see Shatner's face.
Like
It
mapped
is it
onto.
is live. It is
So
a live reaction, and the actor can adjust their performance looking at that and know.
right, you're jumping the gun. I want to stick to the first one
Okay,
you did. So
well,
that was that technology there where you were
yes,
looking at Leonard's face. Okay, because
yes,
it's very short. There's no dialogue that I've seen. It's just
no,
a few images. And is there a reason that because in the new one there's no dialogue either?
there's no dialogue, and
But
that
is that
it's
a creative?
primarily because we want it to be sort of a tone poem, you know.
Sure. And the previous one, which I forget what it's called, the one with Shatner and Colt. I mean, with Nimoy and Colt, with
Right.
Spock and Colt.
It's like memory wall.
Memory Wall. That's right. Okay. So you did Memory Wall and went, okay, proof of concept. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I assume the backgrounds were computer generated, right? The old Enterprise set or something. You didn't
Yeah.
shoot that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone goes, that's amazing. And then how soon after did you guys start working on, or whoever did start working on the unification?
Oh, it was
Quickly. Immediate.
almost right away.
All right. And you got
Because we knew, we had Nimoy, we had Spock, and we approached Shatner
right.
and showed him this and said, we would like to go further with this. We would like to include your character in this in various stages uh, of the development of Star Trek.
Right. Right.
And
And
he
knowing
was
Bill, I feel
intrigued.
like it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah,
Intrigued. Yeah.
yeah. And we brought him in. He is an executive producer on this project, and so was Susan Nimoy.
Susan Bay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Susan Nimoy Bay. Yeah, Bay Nimoy. Yeah.
yeah, and which you have to do. I mean, that's the kind of thing you have
Oh, of
to.
course.
You can't just go around recreating people out of
Well,
with no
I do.
connection. I
I
mean,
do in
you
my
can,
home.
but you shouldn't.
Well, they're not real people. I recreate fantasy people in my garage and make them do what I tell them.
That's some garage. Uh, yeah, and we got his involvement, we got his blessing,
Right.
and so we went forward. Sam Witwer has been working on this for at least a year and a half.
Well, Sam's a friend. I would say a friendly acquaintance. We don't hang out. I've met him a few times, got along great. We have a ton of mutual friends.
Yeah,
So, but my next question in the process is, do they get old footage and scan it? I mean, because there isn't a, 28-year-old Bill Shatner
there
to
isn't,
scan.
but there
So,
are lots of references for 28-year-old
sure.
Bill Shatner.
So is that an artist? Or is
I
it AI, or you don't know that
I
process?
I, I know some of it. I can't tell you. It's sort of one of the
It's too complicated for
wizard's secret. It's
your
these are all strange things. I'm just a caveman.
simple caveman.
Yeah.
Your ways are foreign to me. I got you. It's an NDA, sure.
Yeah.
But obviously they use reference because it is shockingly now. Can I ask this? Is it both artists or it's not just AI going, we'll
It is.
scan that?
There is some AI sort of machine
Right.
learning going
Sure.
on, but it is mostly artists. This is
Yeah.
that's the core here. Is
I
that this is
assumed. And
mostly artists doing this?
are they independent or they work for Otoy?
No, they work for Otoy.
Nice. Well, I mean, Jesus, Otoy probably just opened up an entire division because of this, because studios are going to be like, oh,
Absolutely.
we want to do another Indiana Jones, or we want to do a James Bond with Sean Connery. I don't know what they want. They don't like original ideas. So like, oh my
Well,
god,
it's certainly uh, the holy grail of production at this point is bringing in actors that you don't have to pay as much.
right? Exactly. You
To
like
be
Sam?
quite blunt about it. But
Yeah,
it is a technology that can be used for so many things, and certainly as a company that wants
right,
to monetize their work,
right.
that is one of the small reasons that this occurs. That
Sure.
that this is there. In
Okay.
fact, that was Shatner's main question: is how are you paying for this? And the response is
R&D.
it is mainly a love letter to Star Trek,
Right.
but it
And
also serves as a company
right.
calling card.
Well, and R&D for how to do it like well enough that people are blown away to go like, we need to get that.
Absolutely,
Um, so
absolutely.
okay, so they bring Sam Whitmer in. Wow, a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
You now,
maybe even more. Yeah,
okay, I saw the pictures of him in young Kirk's makeup, which is shockingly, amazingly close.
but remember, what you're also maybe looking at is the feed from the video that has gone
Oh,
through the computer already.
maybe I don't. Yeah, I
That
look.
that may be the live feed of
Okay,
the Shatner face on him.
right, because there's a makeup artist. He's in a makeup chair, and you're thinking, oh, they've made him up. He's got the hairpiece.
Yeah.
So he started just watching Shatner act, and
Yeah,
because
and just practicing the
wow, yeah,
movement and
the
the
little facial expressions are
oh
like,
my god, he
like I
he
thought,
has
well, that
them
has to be,
down.
yeah. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah,
Um, and okay, so now, okay, now rolling forward to last week
yeah,
when this debuted. Obviously, there's already a fan edit of it where they added Shatner's death or Kirk's death from
sure,
Generation,
sure.
which makes sense. Like that's kind of the segue.
Yeah,
The other thing that blew me away, besides Robin being in it, and the only thing I felt bad was like, well, Robin looks old. She's
well,
way
yeah,
more
but
attractive and younger.
if
No,
if
I
you
get it.
notice, she released a video that they worked on of her youngified, and it
Yeah,
is her live performance as Savick, uh, and she looks exactly like she was in Star Trek 3. But this is her live performance.
but that's not what's in the video.
No, that's not what's in the main video, but that's a separate video that was released a
Oh,
couple
okay.
days afterwards. I
I
don't know if
saw. I
you've
didn't
seen it yet.
watch it. I just thought she
Oh
was
yeah,
talking about the
no,
makeup.
no, no.
Okay. The
Watch
other
it. It's amazing.
the other thing, which now again, if you haven't watched it, there's a spoiler alert, and it's very subtle, but I immediately caught it. Now, is that Selleck playing the son?
No,
Son?
no,
Who is that? Just an actor they
just
found?
an actor. Yeah,
Because I thought, oh, it'd be interesting if they got Selleck to play basically his own son, sort of.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it's funny because without a word spoken, if you're a Trek fan, you know immediately
yeah,
through literally just some eyebrow
yeah.
raises.
That is
Oh,
Spock and Savik's son.
son, I know, which we don't know him. I mean, I got goosebumps talking about it now because I'm like, oh, holy shit,
Yeah,
that has. I mean, I'm not sure they don't go, but just her subtle thing and him going,
yeah,
the slut. I mean, it's an amazing study, and you don't need dialogue.
yeah.
I live in the opposite world of that, where I'm doing a kids show at Nickelodeon. Where can you explain everything even while
Right.
we're seeing it? So I was like, this is amazing. I've heard of the director Baena.
Yeah, Carlos Baena.
Yeah,
I think he
I
worked
mean,
on Love, Death, and Robots, and
yes, I would say
several
a
other things.
study in subtlety. The entire thing.
Absolutely.
Did remind me, and I don't know if it was intentional, but it does seem a little bit the Star Trek 4 time travel thing where there's the dark walls with a light and you see things reflected in the water.
There are so many
Easter eggs, yeah.
Easter eggs that
Which
I
I
don't
mean,
even know them all.
yeah. I mean, and then I don't get because my buddy, I had like 8 friends that worked on this who played Gore. No, the alien
Your.
Gore. Why is he there? I don't know. I don't even know what he's from.
Well, I mean, he was from uh, Star Trek Discovery, but he is from the Kelvin timeline.
Right, that I knew.
But of course, in the whole stretch of the mythology, Spock dies in the Kelvin timeline, which
Okay.
is the timeline from the movies after Romulus was destroyed and Vulcan was destroyed.
Right.
Uh, uh, so we can assume this takes place on New Vulcan in the Kelvin timeline.
Okay. But I don't know why he would, the significance of him being there,
Well,
except,
because he has the ability to bring this new Kirk, this regenerated Kirk, into the Kelvin timeline to meet up with Spock.
okay. Oh, and the Gary Lockwood
Yeah,
character at the beginning, I
yeah,
was like, oh, that's cool. Why is he there? And I heard Gary Lockwood actually
yeah,
performed
yeah.
himself.
He performed himself. He did the eye close and everything. Yeah,
Wow. But that's like I knew what it was from, but then so I'm reading the fan reactions like, oh, he's a meta being or whatever they're called, where he
right.
let he had this happen because he was friends with Kirk or
That's
Captain Kirk, and he caused this all to
that's
take.
one of the possible
Yeah,
readings of
because
this.
was there an internal intention for why it starts with Gary Lockwood or Gary or
Well, I mean, because that is also in these comics. You know,
uh,
that is
okay,
an element from the comics, and of course, we all wanted to do Gary Lockwood as a young man again. Uh,
yeah,
so it's all related.
okay, and then Leonard shows up again. If you haven't
Yeah,
watched this, or Spock shows up.
Spock
And
shows up from the Kelvin timeline. He's
Calvin Tarlin,
old and
yeah. He's gray-haired Spock,
yeah.
and again, not a word is spoken. But when they both look to the light, and you're like, oh my god, it was
Well, but not a word is spoken. But Kirk sits down on the edge of
right,
Spock's bed, and he
right,
takes his hand just like the scene from Star Trek: The Motion Picture,
right.
and it's the same camera angles,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like poetry. It rhymes. Uh,
No, it was beautiful and touching, and I'm not easily moved by anything, particularly
yeah.
stuff that I think is ham-fisted. And this easily could have been maudlin, and it just the lack of dialogue and sort of the like you said, this George, it's the tone poem George wants to make but never has. Um, it is like poetic. It's like filmic poetry.
Yeah.
You have to know, be as entwined with Star Trek as you and I are. I think a casual observer would go like, "Oh, cool,"
Oh,
you know, like, "Oh, nice." I mean, I assume they get that, like, "Oh, okay, they're friends together at because Spock died obviously way after. Well, they wouldn't know that.
right.
Um, uh, but man, it's remarkable and should be nominated for an Oscar for short film.
Well, it's pretty amazing. The I think the great thing about it is that you don't have to be, like you said, you don't have to be a deep Star Trek fan to
Right,
appreciate this
right. But I think if
and
you are, you're
understand the feelings involved.
right. Yeah, the feelings that oh man, it's just so well done and so restrained, which gives it much more resonance. It's that
Yeah,
thing where if you have to explain it, then you're basically talking down to the audience. And there's
right,
not a moment of this to the point where I even was like, okay, what Gary Lockwood is there. I don't know sure why. I knew Robin was there, and I knew again that was up my the
yeah.
so I was or movie I was most involved with. I knew that story, which a lot of people didn't know until recently when they started talking about it. But I thought that was great. I don't know. It was just amazing. And so
And
you
of
were
course,
involved.
your buddy Michael Giacchino did the music.
I know. That's what I mean. I found out, and my buddy Gordon Tarpley was your.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you worked on it. They worked on it, and I didn't know anything about it.
I just to be clear, I mean, I gladly accept any uh, pats on the back from people, but I'm remotely involved in this. I served as an advisory capacity only. Um,
Sure.
the great artists and technicians at the Roddenberry Archive did this, and
No,
I basically nodded a lot.
it went cool.
Yeah,
Speaking of the Roddenberry Archive and the expanded version of this, I watched the little YouTube mini doc about this, and then also about what they're doing with the Enterprise.
yeah.
Every version of it, but also I guess the D from Next
Next
Generation.
generation.
Every every room on every deck and every. I mean, they talk to the artist who's doing it. I'm like, holy cow!
Yeah.
That's madness.
Right now, the only ship that is going to have every room
Is the D.
is the refit, the motion picture.
Oh, okay.
The D has all the sets that were built,
Oh, okay.
but we don't have every every
Right.
cabin and
Every bathroom and
every
yeah.
bit. Um,
Okay. Oh,
but
really? So they didn't
but
go with the original Enterprise.
one of the fun challenges and one of the things that I'm most involved with is establishing the look in the refit Enterprise of interiors that we've never seen.
Well, that's what I was. I was leading into. Is that your? Is this part of your involvement?
Yeah,
Knowing the facility you have with computer graphics and all that. Are you both art directing and modeling these rooms, or do you?
I'm not doing much modeling. I did modeling early on to get them started on stuff,
Right.
but
Tasteful.
we have so many better modelers and artists than I that I am there to art direct and to
Right.
give help when necessary. And
Do you get guys like Andy Probert or any of the original?
we have we have Andy. We brought Andy in to be interviewed a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And he, he has given us insight and help with things. Yeah, I mean, it's all one big happy fleet.
It's
Uh,
funny because Andy, I got to know. I knew who he was, but I got to know him well working at Disney Imagineering. He was there for
sure.
years. And so to see all these names, Sam Whitmer and Gordon, and well, you knowing you, but then and then Robin being so all these people I knew, I had no idea. And Michael
Yeah,
scoring, and, I see him every week, and we talk about everything.
right.
And next time I see him, I'm gonna kick him in the balls and be like, "You bastard! You didn't even tell me about this."
And
Um,
also Kevin Feige was an advisor, and
oh, really?
he was interested in this, and so he was involved in
Kevin
a
Kevin will pay
small
for the
one,
Kevin will pay for the punk to be recreated digitally. I know
no
that.
doubt,
Big fan.
or
Big.
at least the new toupee for you.
Hey, I know it's gonna have to be. Well, if they can make Leonard look alive, I think they can make me look. I actually have a 3D sculpt done of the punk as accurate as they could get from photographs.
Did they
Uh,
do a scan of you during Star Trek 4?
no, no, no. That
So
just
your
one.
head can float
Yeah,
through the clouds as well?
like um, no. It was all done from photo reference, but it's pretty good.
Cool.
Uh, so one of the things I want to do is do a limited edition figure with a working boombox. It's a little Bluetooth player
Yeah,
boombox.
I have one of those. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
The company that makes six scale arcade games makes those.
Yes, and they're well, not even that expensive. They're like $100, but they
No,
are
they're
amazing.
great.
Um, so I've been, I mean, on my list of to dos, but I have the model. I was thinking about getting a 3D printer just so I can print up a few and kind of fool around with what level of painting or whatever someone needs to do or molding and casting. But I'd probably do a limited run of like 50. Sign.
50 at $250 each.
No, like a
Oh,
thousand.
autographed.
Autograph would be like $1,000.
Wow.
It's a lot of work. This thing's this. It's like I mean, that's what Sideshow would charge, except
Really?
they're not autographed. Oh yeah, the
Okay.
yeah yeah yeah.
I won't wake you up
12
from your
inch.
reverie.
I said 50, not 500. Kevin Feige would buy one, so actually, I'd give him one. He's been very supportive.
Or Kevin Feige would buy one.
Let's just edit that out. That was just after
No,
the high
no
quality of
editing.
comedy we normally rise to. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
that's what's going on in the Star Trek world, which is sent ripples throughout. I can't imagine Otoy's phone hasn't been ringing off the hook, going, "How did you? Can you?"
it's so great to see the reaction, and so many people were not only affected emotionally by the story, they were saying, "I haven't seen Star Trek since 2009.
Yeah, I've
You
heard
know,
that too.
I haven't felt that this was quote my Star Trek
Yeah.
for a long time."
Well, there's a very cranky movie TV critic, the Critical Drinker,
Yes.
Scottish,
Yeah.
who kind of hates everything. He and
Yep.
Nerdrotic just are like, oh, this is crap. I've seen this. If
I
you want to,
believe he says it's shite.
right, shite. But he watched it, and I'm curious. And he even says, look, this hasn't been my Star Trek since, I think he said since, like whatever series. He's been kind of like,
Right.
he said that J.J. Abrams were okay, but they kind of got a pass because it was a different timeline. But he said it hasn't really been my Star Trek since the original the original movie crew. And he said, so I went into this, fairly uh, cynical that it
Yeah.
was, and he said, I don't cry easily, but this was very moving. And then he breaks it down and goes over it. But I'm like, damn, if that guy, because
Yeah.
he's
He's a
pretty,
hard nut.
he's a hard nut. And I was immediately like, I watched it like 3 times, and I kept running it from the time it's after when he goes to the, I don't know what you call it, the black obelisk, and
Yeah. The
yeah, that was amazing, and it was great to see Robin. I was like, damn it, when did you guys shoot that, this summer?
It was no, it was earlier. I think it was like February, maybe.
Yeah, because I saw
Something
Robin
like
at
that.
Star
Yeah,
Trek
she was in
Vegas.
town for this. But yeah, uh,
Well, amazing, kudos to everyone. It's heartening, particularly in these these dark days, um, with just the way the situation the world is in. It's like, oh my god, technology can make life better as
yeah,
opposed to just like take everyone's job.
it's
Um,
it's pretty it's pretty magical.
yeah. Well, congratulations for being a part of it, man.
Thank
Even
you. I'm
as a
I'm happy to be on the advisory board for the Roddenberry Archive.
heard it
It's
here. Darren is bored on the
it's
Roddenberry Archive.
me, Mike and Denise Okuda, and Doug Drexler.
Oh, I saw
We
them
are
being
we are
interviewed. Why
the
didn't they
we
interview
are
you?
the advisory board.
I didn't see. I saw them being interviewed, but I didn't see you being interviewed, or Doug.
I try not to be interviewed whenever I can avoid
Obviously,
it.
you don't like to talk about work.
I don't actually.
I know. Me neither. This isn't really talking about work. Work comes up, but we mainly talk about our health and dating.
And,
Right?
and lack of work.
Yeah.
I like to talk about lack of work.
I like to talk about what I do when I'm not working, which is this.
Yeah,
Um, okay, the other thing that came up this
yeah.
last week was more in my wheelhouse, although Trek obviously is part of it. Was Muppets 3D is being, and this has been rumored for a year or more.
End of line.
They're pulling it out of Disney World. They pulled it out of Disneyland 15 years ago,
Yeah,
and their replacement is, oh, we're going to have Muppet Mayhem do the music for the Rock and Roller Coaster. And I was like, wow, that's basically going like, it's going to be a sticker pack on a ride that you
yeah.
can already, and the Muppets will sing, Ticket to Ride or something. I don't know. It's so depressing the way Disney is slowly sidelining the Muppets, which is weird because they own it. Like you would get it if like it's Avatar, which they don't own. I guess they pay a license or some
Yeah.
deal, but they own the Muppets, and they're saying, yeah, we don't really know the people, and they're killing it from the inside because they don't know. I mean, again, very very specific point of view here, but they haven't really known what to do with them since they bought the Jason Segel script and went, oh, the Muppets are dead, and Jason Segel's going to save them
Yeah.
with a character that's completely forgettable. And it's gotten worse since there. I mean, Muppet Haunted Mansion was fun. I like doing it. I think what I would do with more Muppet. I mean, and again, it's an age range, but people between the age of 32 and 40 now come up to me and say that Muppet Treasure Island was their favorite movie. I
Yeah.
said, that's what I think the Muppets should do. Genre pictures where they destroy. It's basically the play that goes wrong, but it's the movie plot that goes
Yeah.
wrong, whether it's a Western or a spy movie or a space movie. And I've written versions of almost all of those. And that they look at me like I have two heads.
I still think that my pitch for Alien versus Muppets could work pretty well.
Well, they don't own Alien franchise either.
Yeah, they do.
Is that Fox?
Yeah, Disney owns Alien.
That's true now. I forgot that. Yeah, they're just waiting to buy up Star Trek and then they'll own everything.
Well,
Star Trek and Gremlins, the only two franchises I worked on that Disney doesn't own now. So that's obviously sent ripples through the Muppet fandom, and again,
Absolutely. It's
three.
horrible because that is, of course, the last official thing that Jim worked on and performed. Other than the Arsenio Hall show, performed Kermit in.
Right, right. And it was the last movie thing that he and I worked on. We were
Yeah,
developing dinosaurs when he passed, but it was the last thing he directed and had his hand in, literally.
yeah,
Yeah, it's and the fans have said, oh well, they'll save the movie, like you could watch it with 3D glasses or something at home. Like, but that's half the ride. The ride was the environment. Well, maybe
yeah.
maybe Japan will open it because they love everything, but they
Right.
weren't. The Muppets were not big in Japan, and I learned this back in the '90s
A
when,
tribute to all the countries of the world, but especially America.
especially America, America. So the reason the Japanese are not fans of the Muppets, they love Sesame Street, but they did not like, because Miss Piggy is too belligerent. They don't like, they really just don't. It turns them off completely to have a strident, violent female, and especially seeing the nice guy get karate chopped and yelled at.
Yeah.
So the Muppets did not do well. It's one of the few countries where it was aired, and it was a meager success. And we found that out in the '90s when the company was romancing Japanese, corporations to see Muppets could be sponsors, or even a Muppet show, the Japanese version, because it's still a job. And they were like, no, no, we like Sesame Street. They liked Fraggles. They liked everything Muppety. They love
Wow.
Labyrinth.
So
Labyrinth.
it's all Frank Oz's fault.
It's all Frank Oz is that motherfucker. Yeah, no, they love Labyrinth, Dark Crystal. Like, they love the Henson Comedies. Do not like the Muppet Show, which is
Wow.
culturally interesting.
That's
Um,
fascinating. I'd never heard that before.
well, because nobody. I mean, we were there in the meetings where they're like,
Yeah.
and our PR development people, I guess, came back. I didn't go to Japan, but they came back and they're like, they love everything except the Muppets, and they say, they don't say they don't like it. They say it is difficult for the Japanese to like the comedy, and they would say, like, the jokes don't translate, and that's kind of it really was miss. And one guy was like, no, it's just Miss Piggy. The
Did they
fact that
call her Miss Katsu?
yes, probably they love Porco Rosa, but he's a dude and he
He's a
doesn't do
dude, and
that.
he's not. He's a nice guy.
Right, right, right. He's the hero. So that was an interesting bit of, but yeah. So dark times for Muppets, bright times for Star Trek.
Well, hopefully it isn't just a
Yeah.
last
Right.
nail in the coffin of old Star Trek.
Well, okay.
But if it is, I I don't mind. I think that's a good way of signing out if
Well,
that's
right.
it.
Well,
You know?
okay. Paramount is now getting sold to um, Skydance,
Yep.
which is the same company that's buying Nickelodeon I'm working with. And Skydance is run by, I don't know if they're Star Trek fans, but
Ellison.
yeah, yeah, David Ellison,
Hmm.
Larry's son. I know he and his sister are, movie fans, and they're not just business people who are buying it to, like, see what they can squeeze out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll let Star Trek languish.
Well,
Um,
see,
I-
you need to sort of define which Star Trek you're talking about,
well, yeah.
because there's a whole new Star Trek that started, with the 2009
Well,
and continued through the
there's three.
CBS Plus and
Right.
Paramount
There's
Plus.
there's three ongoing series right now, right? That
Yeah.
have been that haven't been canceled. There's Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds.
Although Lower Decks is over, they just released their last
Oh, they're
season.
not they're not picking it up.
As far as I heard, no.
Oh, okay, I hadn't heard it was dead. I knew their season was over. Well, then there's Strange New Worlds and Discovery. Is that still going
No,
on?
Discovery is done.
So it's just
They're doing Starfleet Academy.
Academy. That was the so Harv Bennett. We talked about that right during the post on Trek 4. Harv wanted them to
Right.
do the Academy. Now, are they doing Young Kirk, Spock, Bones, or no? Is it
No, no,
just
no. This is set in the 30th century,
no?
and it's all in that sort of Discovery timeline where they're 900 years after Discovery, and
Okay.
it's
Oh, are the Klingons the enemies at that
I have
point, or
no
no?
idea. I have no idea what it is.
Well, no, but that's pre. Generations, right?
No, it's
Next Generation.
900 years after.
Oh, after. Oh, okay. So the
After.
Klingons could be like their best friends. I gotcha. So it's a blank.
Or not around at all.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a blank slate.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder. See, what's nice about it is it's basically pure sci-fi, or can be, with whatever Trek, uh, ephemera they want to have attached to it. The question is, do people? I guess Next Generation proved that people like the Star Trek universe without Kirk, Spock, Bones, and all that, and they came up with new characters that people enjoyed. College age kids, hopefully there'll be an alien or two. I'm assuming.
I'm
It's
sure there
interesting.
will be.
I mean, it's kind of theirs to fuck up, I suppose.
Well, again, it's the same group of people who have done all the Star Trek TV for the past 5 years.
Well, Goldman and
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and Kurtzman.
Kurtzman, yeah, yeah. Nobody liked Picard till Terry took over, so I don't
Yeah.
know. I know people are like, "Oh, I hated Picard."
There's a whole section of Star Trek fandom that was basically dropped when these shows were made.
Right, and
Uh,
that's so.
and
So
that's the core group that is have been crying this week over the return of Kirk.
right, of course, no, and I get it because I lost. I mean, after Generations, I kind of I watch Deep Space once in a while, and
Yeah,
I just watch Voyager. I just kind of like it was like too much Star Trek. Like I don't like how many.
how
How
how can
dare
that be? You can't have too much Star Trek. What are you talking about?
like Star Wars should take a note. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, interesting times. Uh, what else is happening in the world of make believe? In the land of make believe.
I don't think we're going to have a digital Mister Rogers anytime soon, though. I'm not against it.
Yeah, Sam
Uh,
Witwer could probably do.
he probably well he's playing Lady Elaine, which is a little bit of a stretch for him.
Well, yeah, I mean he's got big hands.
I Whenever I say that name, I always think of the song "Lady Elaine, lay across my big brass
Oh,
bed." It's
nice.
silly. It's one of those silly things,
It's silly, Darwood.
It is a silly place.
A very silly place. Let's not go there. All right. I was just trying to think of in the industry what's been happening with the movies and all that. I don't know.
Well, I think there's rumors of things happening next year.
Yes, like.
Stay alive till 25. I don't know. Stay alive till
Well, I know,
25 is the motto.
like reading the tea leaves. My friends who are do extra work and background work, the work's been picking up. I guess
Good.
TV's been back because TV's back. Whatever TV's being made is back
Right.
in production. Um, a lot of it's going to the UK and Canada.
Yep.
Sadly, I heard Atlanta is getting kind of gutted from all those big stages they built, and they're
Yeah.
not filling up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank God I didn't move there.
yeah, no, I know people who did,
As do I.
and Florida. I mean, well, that's another thing Disney really hosed a bunch of Imagineering people. Said, if you
Yeah.
want your job, move to Florida. We're moving on to Florida. Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Yeah. It's you can't chase the work these days because it'll just easily go away as it
Well,
shows up.
and the nice thing is about the work that you and I do, or mostly now, is all done from
We can
home.
do it from home.
Yeah. So then the question is, where do you want to live? That's
And is there any instance where you need to wear pants anymore?
I don't. I'm buck naked from the waist down, and for $500,
Wasn't that the title of your autobiography?
buck naked from the waist down. Yeah, it should be buck
Goodness.
naked from the head up.
Naked head.
Naked, naked
Ooh.
head. Oh, do you know the story? In the '60s, a bunch of marketing people in the publishing world got together, and I don't know if it was a dare or just an idea. They tested the words that sold the most titles of
Mm.
paperbacks,
Mm-hmm.
And they came up with the perfect title for something that should sell really well. And I think they had 6 different authors, 4 to 6 different authors write. I don't know if it's an anthology or they just kind of did the what is it, the game where you take you just they each write a couple chapters.
Right.
But it was called Naked Game the Stranger, and it was a #1 bestseller.
Oh my God.
And it was
That's
all
hilarious.
marketed. Hold on, let me see. Okay, let me see if I can find a little Wikipedia about it.
For those of you listening at home, Kirk is looking on his phone.
Okay, Google.
Don't say that. Don't say that, because now you have people's devices turning on all left and right.
Naked Game the Stranger. So they can read it themselves now. Actually, what it said was "Don't say that." That's what I picked up. You
Don't
jerk.
say that.
Naked came. Oops.
The
First thing
Prince
showed.
of Peanuts. That would be Charles Schultz, wouldn't it?
Yes. A novel by Penelope Ash, which I assume is a. Let me see. All right. Is a 1960 written as a literary hoax, poking
Ah,
fun at the American literary
Hoax
culture of its time.
Institute.
Though credited to Penelope Ash, was written by a group of 24 journalists,
Wow.
led by Newsday columnist Mike McGrady. And the cover was the backside of a naked girl. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can kind of see it.
No, it went all fuzzy.
It's editing.
Yeah, we're
Anyway,
not going to see it. Look
it's a
it up
girl.
for yourselves.
It's a long-haired girl facing away from camera, nude, and to illustrate the point that popular American literary culture had become mindlessly vulgar. The book
Right.
fulfilled the author's expectation, became a bestseller in 1969. They revealed the hoax later that year and made it sell even better.
Well,
I love
good for
it.
them.
Well, there's also Star Trek 4 makes fun of that too.
Right.
Harold
It
Robbins,
does.
works of Jacqueline Suzanne. The Giants. But I love that story that no one ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public.
Right.
So Naked Muppets probably would sell.
Well, I mean, most of the Muppets are naked, aren't they?
Kermit is.
Kermit is
Kermit,
absolutely
Fozzie,
full on frog naked.
Frog nude, Fozzie's nude, Gonzo is not, Rizzo is.
Well,
There are a lot of-
Fozzie's not really nude. He has a collar and tie.
well, no, but he's bare from the nipples down.
He's
Uh,
a bear.
He's Winnie the Poohing it, or the Donald Ducking it, where you just
Right. He's
sit there,
Donald ducking it.
Donald
Oh
Ducking
my
it. I
God.
stole that was from Deadpool. What are you, Donald Ducking it?
Oh my
Uh,
God. Wow.
yeah. So those are, let's see, those are the main ones who are nude, or at least Kermit has a collar, but is that a collar he wears, or is that part of his anatomy? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's not a.
Frogs don't have that.
Frogs don't have that.
They don't have a pointy collar. I think it was originally done to hide the seam because he was just a body with a
Right.
sock pupping. So yeah,
I mean,
but yeah,
it isn't like those Elizabethan collars that are ruffled.
right,
It's
should
not a
be.
ruffle.
We speaking of Elizabethan collars on Muppets. So one of the ideas I was a huge fan of, or pitched Muppet Treasure Island. It was my sheer force of will in convincing them that we should do that. Not,
Right.
and the other idea was, which I liked, but it was fraught with peril. If you do, we were talking about Arthur, King Arthur's court, and I said, well, the problem with that story is his best friend cheating on his buddy. So
Right.
if you
Right.
get rid of that, then you really don't. I mean, you can call it King Arthur.
Fozzie!
And the other one is they're searching for Jesus, the cup Jesus drank out of. So
Right.
you're either problematic religiously, or you just do, Muppet Knights of the Round Table, and you make up our own stories, and we
Right.
have, which is kind of what the pitch was. But at that time, the idea was, well, it's better to go with a story that everyone knows, like Treasure Island, because
Right.
then you immediately have an interest, as opposed to Muppets Knights of the Round Table, where it'd be like, all right. The other idea they floated was Connecticut. Was it Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's court,
Right.
which would work as well too, I think, with Sam Eagle as like the king and Kermit as, I forget. This is a Mark Twain story.
Yeah.
That was the other one that was floated, which was funny because it cat, fish out of water, frog out of water, which we probably would have made that joke. Yeah, and Miss Piggy would be the female. So I think that they should. I don't know. I don't really care anymore. I don't have any
Right.
attachments to the Muppets, but I think that would be and a Western. I always wanted to do. Jerry Jewell and I talked about doing a version of Destry Rides Again about the sheriff who won't use a gun.
Wow.
Like, that's perfect for Kermit. A sheriff who won't goes into a town. What I thought the pitch I had was Bunsen and Beaker are uh, open a flower shop, a florist shop in a town. They come out, the dandies from the east, take the train out, and they go into the a town with the name of like Snakebite, Snakebite, Texas, and they open a florist shop, and they're both they use hydroponics to grow beautiful flowers here in the desert. And during a storm, there's a windstorm, and their sign was Texas Flower Rangers, and the flower blows off, and the A does, and it becomes Texas Rangers. So they immediately thought that and they don't, so the town looks to them to save them. And so they've heard of, and Kermit is the sheriff who has this, reputation of being a badass. And it turns out, you find out, halfway, 2/3 of the story, it was all a misunderstanding where he didn't shoot, Big Bad Bart. It was a ricochet from another thing where his gun went off, and so again, it's the townspeople against the bad guys, and it's a classic Muppet setup to have a lot of fun and play with Western tropes. And after Haunted Mansion, I went to them and said, let's do a Western based on Thunder Mountain, because all it is a runaway train, which you could put in anywhere. That could be the big ending is and they were like, nah, we're not going to do that. And then they did Mayhem.
Yeah. And look where they are.
I don't think
they're closing the ride.
Yeah, I don't think they'll even do a movie anymore. I think they are. They also would spend $60-80 million on a movie that should have cost 20.
Right.
And again, everything I did was 10 or under. So they just, and I've even thought about going to large franchise owners and say, you want your version of the Muppets? Because I know all the people who can do it, and there just won't be the Muppets, but it could be the same kind of character.
It's the Dumpets.
It's the Flumpet. Yeah. I wouldn't use Dump It in the title. Anyway. Well, this was a good episode. There's a lot to talk about.
Indeed. Lots of things going on, lots to explain.
I encourage all of you to go to the Roddenberry archive. What was that?
Roddenberry.x.io.
.x. That doesn't mean it's adult content. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and they're working on a lot of neat things, and I've not been paid for this promotion.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah. So tell a friend.
Telephone.
Telepresence.
Oh.
Telepresence.
That's exciting.
All right, bud. I think we've killed an hour.
Actually, we're 3 minutes short, but that's fine.
All right, well, let's sing for 3 minutes.
Let's not.
Well, any closing thoughts?
Any last requests?
No. Don't say last words, because that's a little too, yeah.
Look, it's always good to talk with you, and
yes, sir. Especially after you launched or involved this amazing thing. I was really, really excited.
It's very exciting, and on the site you'll be able to look at the other shorts that have been released, and there's tons of behind the scenes stuff that you can look at and learn about, and
marvel at the work.
It's the world of illusion.
Mystical illusions.
Yes.
Is this William Shatner or not?
Is this William Shatner or something else?
I'm turning to Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Is this William Shatner? There you go. We can talk for 2 minutes about...
Is there nothing that can penetrate your impervious purse?
We can talk about Charlie... the guy who does Roger's voice, who
used to do Charlie, or
used to do the voice,
Roger's voice.
Well, he won a lawsuit saying that they had to use him or at least pay him because he created the voice. Right. Maybe there was a statute of limitations under 20 years or something. Because I guess he doesn't. I don't know if they do Roger Rabbit anymore. Do they?
No.
Yeah, I don't think they use.
They barely have it on streaming.
Yeah.
It's Charlie. What's his name?
I know. It's like a famous last name. Kaufman. No. It's not Kaufman. I know there's like,
I mean,
it's not
that's so
Wexler, it's
stupid.
not Kaufman.
Fleischer, Charles Fleischer.
Fleischer. That's why it's like you think that's why. You're like, no, that's the animator. Yeah, Charles
Yeah.
Fleischer. Nice guy, very smart guy, like Mensa member, and
Yeah. And
he
he's,
was
he was a great stand-up
and
comedian.
he'd
And
be a good guest on the show.
sure,
All right.
I don't know him, but maybe
Oh, I'll call him. I don't know. He's on my
give him a
Rolodex.
call.
Give him a call.
We'll have
Say, Chuck.
we'll have him do Roger Rabbit for free.
There you go. I'll do
Uh-huh.
I'll do a clean 5. There you go. All right.
All righty then. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
See you all in the future, for that is where
we'll be spending the rest of our lives.
See you, buddy.
Take care. The Weirded Beardos are Kirk Thatcher and Daren Doctorman. Email them at theweirdedbeardos@gmail.com.